my top 10 books. Now, is there really a need for a top 10 after all? I mean, I've got 1 and 2 right here. Bible and Quran, but no, I would no sooner mock old books than they are a part of our history. They are things of beauty, and I respect the ideas contained within. Indeed, if you ever actually read these 2 books carefully, you'd see that a true devotee of Islam would actually be a kinder person than a true devotee of Christianity. The ideas in Islam are less vengeful. But before I start my top 10 books, a few honourable mentions. Firstly, my top 10 will all be fictional. Now obviously that makes these 2 eligible. They, for some bizarre reason, they don't actually feature on my top 10 list of books, but I do recognise the contribution these 2 books have made to world history. And possibly a book that should make such a contribution to world history also. Any comments about that? Right, maybe we can discard these 2. Bill Bryson, Short History of Nearly Everything. Magnificent book. Can't feature on the list because it is amazingly factual, very entertaining and informative. Honourable mention. Definite mention must be given, of course, to Darwin's Origin of the Species and the impact that it has had. But if you read it, it's actually very, very brutal, this book. It's reminiscent of Kierkegaard's statement of, should we ever actually get our true freedom, the only inevitable result is angst and despair. And so I don't know if I would recommend it as reading anyway, but it says must respect the, the weight of this book. So special mention, Darwin's Origin of Species. And equally, of course, the history of Western philosophy. I just like the concept of a book that tries to encapsulate the history of Western philosophy. And I mean, if you do read a little bit more into it and you read a little bit more about the man, you can't help thinking, bloody well done, at his age as well. Also, worthy of noted mention in the book section, come and put these to one side, of course, must come. Again, a book judged by the impact that it has had on human thinking. The tomes of the Principia Mathematica. These mighty books have had a notable impact on human reasoning, but I'm buggered if I know what it is, because quite frankly they scare the hell out of me. I've tried a few paragraphs and they're almost indigestible, but one can recognise somehow great information is recorded within, and I do respect to that. But what actually matters, and what this video is truly about, of course, is my top 10 books. So the first on my list, I include so almost just because it begins with 8 wonderful little words that certain books would have done well to be included in. And those 8 wonderful little words you saw are, of course, not one word of the following is true. But that book then goes on to denote all wonderful descriptions of childhood, a little bit of wit, a little bit of wisdom. It's not a childhood I can empathise with. In England we have something called the class system. You have a working class, you traditionally work with your hands, or you're middle class, which you still work but you're behind a desk, or you're upper class, and probably the less said about them, the better. And this book, Stephen Fry's The Liar, contains wonderful little memories of an upper-class childhood that I wouldn't know, but it can still educate, inform, and entertain. So, 10th on my list, but the first one to be mentioned, Stephen Fry, The Liar. 3 more sections coming. Books 987 654 321. Many thanks. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.